Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Curious Owlbear, and I'm here to explore everything Dungeons & Dragons. Our three players have met with the lizard folk's Queen Othokent and have secured an emissary party to travel back to Saltmarsh to strike a deal with the town's council. But life doesn't stay quiet for long on this coast. The players went to significant lengths to ensure the safety of the lizard folk emissaries, named Flummox, Glummox, and Phlegm. They even camped out overnight with the lizard folk, due to their fear that the townsfolk may attack them. In reality, the night passed uneventfully, and the lizard folk met with the town council in the morning. Unfortunately for me, my players wanted to sit in on the meeting, which resulted in me having to roleplay about 6 different NPCs at the same time. Anyway, the deal was eventually struck, but it did not include any mention of further weapons shipments to the lizard folk. My players jumped at this, seeing an opportunity to utilize the sea goat and its crew. They struck a deal with the lizard folk to ensure that there would be further weapons shipments from Saltmarsh. They planned to use the Forge Cleric's ability to create these weapons out of scrap metal over time. I thought this was a really cool use of the Forge Cleric's abilities, and it won't result in the party gaining too much wealth, so I'm going to allow it. It also has the side effect of giving my players a way to utilize the sea goat and its crew without affecting the rest of the adventure too much. Afterwards, the group continued to offer their services around town until they were approached by the awkward-looking half-orc Vertheg, the butler of Albrecht Dralion. Albrecht is a well-known merchant who lost his wealth some time ago due to a bad investment. He loaded his warship, Emperor of the Waves, with much of his wealth and sent it east. Unfortunately, the ship was caught in a storm, separated from its escort, and lost for many years. Just 15 days ago, however, the ship was spotted adrift and apparently abandoned in the Azure Sea. It has sustained heavy damage, but was still afloat, and Albrecht hopes to recover a lot of the treasure that was held within. All he needs is an adventuring group willing and able to board the ship and deal with any miscreants left aboard. The players agreed due to Albrecht's offer of 10,000 gold pieces for the success of this mission. After a short time, the players boarded the Soul of Winter, which was the ship that Albrecht had commissioned for this journey. The players were remarkably willing to acquiesce to Captain Wolgar Windrune's demand that they stay within their quarters for the majority of the journey. However, the bard smuggler couldn't help himself but sneak aboard at night to sing a song to the crew. In spite of himself, the captain enjoyed the song, which helped the group start to gain his trust. One night, the ship was attacked by a group of Sahwagin. As the alarm bell sounded on the top deck, the players rushed to help the rest of the crew. The party and crew were able to fend off the Sahwagin together, and the cleric spent the majority of his resources healing injured crew members. These acts, along with the song sung by the smuggler bard, helped to fully gain the trust of Wolgar. He allowed the group to remain on the top deck for the rest of the journey. It also helped that my players have all selected backgrounds from the Saltmarsh module, so they know how to handle themselves on a ship. Upon arriving at the Emperor of the Waves, the players were easily able to gain access to the top deck, and the dungeon crawl began. They snuck through the forecastle, battling with some giant spiders and an ettercap. Eventually, they made their way down and faced off with the evil, Lolth-worshipping druid. This fight turned out to be a lot of fun and quite a challenge, as the phase spider was blinking in and out of the material plane, the giant spiders were causing mayhem, and the druid has a good amount of abilities at his disposal, but they emerged successful. The cleric did his best to demolish many of the tributes to Lolth, and of course the group took many of the various offerings as their own. Finally, the group was able to sneak down to the hold, which was partially flooded. They battled with the ghasts that were left there, and located the massive crate emblazoned with the letter A. However, just as they discovered it, the ship was attacked again by the Elder Octopus. This was an extremely fun encounter, and it's something that I've been wanting to play with for a long time. I've always wanted to set up a dungeon that would collapse on the players as they chose which items they could grab and carry without slowing down too much. The book gives a pretty good outline for this scenario. The players rely on the strongest among them to bring the chest to the top deck of the ship, all while trying to avoid falling prone due to the shaking by the Elder Octopus. All the while, the ship gets closer and closer to sinking. It turned out to be a fairly challenging encounter, although my players chose not to attack the Elder Octopus at any point. Instead, they dedicated each turn to moving as quickly as they could toward the top deck of the ship. Unfortunately for them, they had avoided the stairs at the aft, so they had to figure out a way to haul this massive crate up onto the second deck. This took some time, as they were forced to attach ropes and haul it up. Eventually, they made their way to the top deck, where there were several creatures lashing out in their desperation. The group dealt with some of these creatures as the rowboat approached. Finally, the cleric cast a spell which made the rest of this encounter fairly trivial. Water walking. With water walking and Oceanus swimming below the crate, it was very easy for the players to maneuver around in the water and get to the rowboat. The group makes their way back towards Saltmarsh aboard the Soul of Winter as they prepare for the next step of their journey. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Salvage Operation adventure from Ghosts of Saltmarsh. If you did, make sure to crit those subscribe and like buttons, as there are more D&D videos on the way. As always, thanks to Syrinscape for the ambiance in this video. If you're in the market for some D&D music or sound effects, make sure you check them out at the link in the description below. Syrinscape likely has everything you need. Until next time, stay curious, adventurers.